Yes. This church, yes, the modern church. It seems that somebody decided to take custody of it without, um, well, any due process. Right. Now, I'm very involved in the church, even though it doesn't look like I am. I'm very involved. Did you, as a government, decide that you were going to take control of Christianity? Because you just had to make sure. See, the way that I see it is the church is young, and you're abusing your power because when you don't give any due process and you just decide, well, we're just going to take control. Yeah. We're going to sew in the electric grid and we're going to watch what they do, and they don't know. So, as a government, you can just do that. Well, the church, yeah, may grow better, but cannot grow worse. What is the actual effect of your deciding to? Well, the church is to be more favored than a person. The church is always under protection of the government. Now, I've already kind of explained how I'm involved in the church. I'm wanting to have this 2,000 year celebration, and I'm wanting to sue those in office that thought that they didn't have to protect the church. They don't have to protect what I want to do. Let's say I told you what I want to do, and you said, well, we don't have to enforce his rights. See, we can issue protection orders, yes, 48 days after they're issued, without the actual acknowledgement of Heidi. Because we're the government and we don't have to protect the church. We don't have to protect the custody of the church. We don't have to protect anything religious. Well, I'm actually very involved in the church. You might not have seen it, but when you attempted 2 times to serve me, yes. And then you issued this without me getting any notice because you said I was crazy, yeah. See, Homeland Security decided to involve themselves in my life because when Heidi abducted my sons on July 2nd of 2011, yeah, it was 4th of July weekend. Oh, how they got 7 plane tickets on that 4th of July weekend. I'm sure we could call Continental Airlines because they're the only airline that flies to Guam. Now, if I looked at actually, yes, how was it possible? It was an emergency. Yes, she had to leave the island. Yes, because of the allegation. Well, there's the Oprah show. Oh, how much influence has Homeland Security had about issuing plane tickets? Right. Kind of setting me up where I called my wife a cunt when I didn't want to say that. As in, you sewed the electric grid and you said a word through my mouth that I hadn't said in probably 5 or 6 years. Ooh, exactly how much custody of the church? Well, she got here, wasn't a resident because Benjamin was born on Guam and we were residents of Guam. Yes. And then they issue a protection order where I wasn't given any notice or opportunity to be heard. I just want to know how much influence has Homeland Security had in the issuance of temporary protection orders and the permanent protection order that was issued on August 12th of 2011 when I was still on Guam. Homeland Security. Now, at that time, it was Janet Ann Napolitano. Yeah, was the Secretary of Homeland Security. And I don't know if Heidi actually did get to meet her in real life, the actual individual. But I would say that for every person that Heidi did actually talk to. I mean, in real life, talk to, not some sort of virtualized show or where you put a lizard in your ass and you can be on the individual. So, I just wanted to know every employee that my wife, yes, had an actual conversation with about why it is that my 5 sons are in national security. Now, when you really add it up, okay, you'd say I don't have any more lawsuits. Why don't we look at how that $6 million campus, yes, in Port Angeles has been used by the police and sheriff's departments so that they could, well, I mean, it's quite a bit of money when you think about it. I've actually been there one time. I walked there, yes, and I just thought I'd have a look at the place. I noticed how the fence is kind of pointed out, as in it's when you, it's not trying to prevent people to get in. No, it's. Could you tell me the actual? Did you design that as a place where you could take people, and they wouldn't? Well, just give me every employee because it seemed like there was a mustache driving in when I was. Well, why don't you just tell me right now, Sheriff? How much influence has Homeland Security had in the violating of my rights as a father, and then the custody rights of my sons, and the privileges they have as children? Yes, that the federal fucking government right now does not take custody of children without the actual due process to their parents. Now, you renewed this, right? hmm 1 week after motioning the court for dissolution of marriage. Yeah. This protection order wasn't due to expire until August 21st of 2000, August 12th of 2012. Now, when you did it by a minute order, poop, and I was on trial for violating it, there was the no contact order of the personal recognizance where I was on probation. Yes, where my record was expunged right after the court hearing where I was found not guilty. Ouch. How much has Chief of Police? Well, there's Terry Gallagher. Ouch. Did you go out there and get to walk around the place as the Chief of Police of Port Angeles? Ouch. Then there's Bill Dixon. Yes. Did you get to see Homeland Security's new facilities there? Approach. And then there's Sheriff Joe Hall. Oh, were you guys having a little argument about, well, we are the law of the county and Homeland How about Border Patrol right down there by the ferry? How many Border Patrol officers understand what he's saying? Do you think that I would not have put in prison? Well, you reissued a protection order while I was on trial for the allegation of violating the protection order where you didn't give me any due process. Poop, poop. And then you reissued it, yes. And then there's this question of forgeries. I was looking at the financial services fraud. I just wanted to get the endorsement and the signature of Christy Miller of every check for the last 20 years. Let's say I found out that there's some financial services fraud where you were so. Well, how many lookalikes does Homeland Security have? I know when Janet was a secretary, she probably had one of those machines where it had an automatic. Well, we'll go through the financial services fraud. Are there employees of the federal government that are using dogs, lookalikes, and twins? Yes, to act like they have to be 100 different locations right now. Well, what did we not see? Homeland Security, yes, has been paying Clallam County. Well, what's so important about my sons? Why would you involve yourselves in so much fraud. Unless, of course, the police and sheriff's departments didn't really see how Homeland Security, well, I did say Homeland Security's property. I said the county. Now, if you have one Homeland Security location that everyone knows about, I mean, it's across the street from the McDonald's. You didn't build a second one that no one knows about. You know how they do it top secret. They plan and they put in the newspaper. Yes, they do. What they're going to build, but what they do not. Well, I think you got one where the employee goes to work. Yes, that everyone knows about. And you got a second one where you keep their look-alike so they can go back and forth from the location. You got a fucking